So believe it or not, this is actually the video that I think I am most terrified to make out of the 5. I'm dead serious. I'm so scared to make this video. I'm so scared to admit up to this. And this is a video that I've been wanting to make for like literally a year, but I don't know, I'm just so scared that people are gonna freak out on me and take away my vegan card and discredit me as an animal rights activist, and just it's very scary. And I know that vegan culture is not something that is widespread yet. So some of you may be hearing me say this and be like, why are you so afraid? I don't know, it's the weirdest thing. You just feel like when you're vegan, you have to be 100% perfect vegan, otherwise you're not really vegan. And this is a topic that I have never seen a fellow hardcore vegan influencer address. I could be wrong, maybe it does exist somewhere out there, but for that reason, I am really afraid to be the one to say this. So yeah, when you're vegan, people really do expect you to be a perfect vegan, and I know that many of you might not exactly know what that entails. So I wrote a list of some of the basic rules of being a perfect vegan, and I'm gonna read them off to you guys. No eating anything that may contain even trace amounts of meat, dairy, eggs, honey, or gelatin. And when I say trace amount, I mean like meat broth. Like, you'd be surprised at restaurants how often they use like chicken stock in basic things like noodles or vegetables. Like, it's very, very, very common. You just have to make sure that you ask your server to double, triple check. Okay. No wearing anything that may contain even small amounts of leather, wool, silk, fur, animal hair, anything that came from an animal. No using any beauty products with animal ingredients such as beeswax or carmine. No using any products, that means hygiene products, cleaning products, anything that you would go to like Target or Walmart and buy in a packaging. None of that can be tested on animals. So basically nothing from the huge companies like Procter & Gamble. And also you have to make sure that none of those products are sold in mainland China where they require animal testing by law. We have make sure your car interior has no leather, including the steering wheel. And make sure your home goods don't have any leather, wool, animal hair, or feather fill. Pillows, mattresses, sofa, a lot of that stuff tends to be filled with feathers, so watch out for that. No taking any medicine or prescription drugs that required animal testing trials, which is pretty much all of them. No going to the zoo, SeaWorld, circuses, petting zoos, or anything else that involves the captivity, mistreatment of animals. No candles with beeswax, and a limited selection of wine due to how it's processed. So those are just the ones that I could think of off the top of my head. But as you can see, it doesn't make going vegan as easy as vegans like to make it seem. You know, when you first hear about going vegan, it's like, oh, just don't eat anything that comes from an animal and don't wear anything that comes from an animal. And that, when you say it like that, it seems like, okay, that's not too bad. That's like really not too bad. But there are definitely a lot more layers to it than that. Now, I'm not trying to say that I find it overwhelming to be vegan. It's like once you really educate yourself on the issues and find your own personal passion for the movement, it becomes pretty freaking easy to follow those rules for the most part. But where you kind of lose me at is following them 100% every single day of your life. That is something that I personally struggle with and that I think needs to be talked about. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I really do struggle to be a 100% perfect vegan. And I remember back in 2013 when I first went vegan, I thought I was kind of funny doing this, but people got really mad. I used to put whatever percentage vegan I was in my Twitter bio. And I remember I was like 72% vegan because I wasn't eating any animal products and I wasn't really wearing clothing with leather, but I was still like clutching onto my bags and my shoes for dear life. I didn't want to get rid of them. And so many people were judging me for it and I just wasn't ready. I don't know, I can't explain it, but I just wasn't there yet in my own personal journey. I know some vegans hate when you freaking say that. They think that everybody should go cold turkey vegan overnight, you know, and just ditch everything, wake up the next day, sell all your things, and just really commit to your new persona. but I just don't see it that way. I've always said that going vegan is a journey, and there's different phases where you know, purge different things as you find information that inspires you. I don't know, some people can do a cold turkey, and damn, that's really, really strong of you. But anyway, so what happened with me was I did eventually end up cutting all animal products from my wardrobe, and I actually sold all of my designer bags and shoes and donated like $1,500 to a farm sanctuary. So in the end, I definitely understood and I got there. It's just, it took me a little bit of time to go from like 72% vegan to 80% vegan, and then from 80 to 85, and now I would say I'm at about a 98% vegan. But you know, what's really weird to me is, in hindsight, when I look back at the time that I didn't want to give away my bags and my shoes and whatever, it's really weird to me because I cared just as much about the movement and animals back then as I do now. Maybe even more, because that was when you first become vegan, usually you go so strong because you had just watched all these documentaries. You're just feeling so angry and like hype, and like it's just like the weirdest clusterfuck of emotion, honestly. So yeah, I really, really, really cared about the movement and about animals and all of it, but for whatever reason, I just still was disconnected in that way with wanting to keep my bags and my shoes. I don't know, I can't explain it. By the way, I'm really sorry if you guys can hear these freaking chainsaws outside. I don't know what is happening. They're like trimming trees or something. But anyway, okay, so yes, my point is I'm not a 100% perfect vegan. I'm more probably like a 95 to 98% perfect vegan, and I think that's okay. Now, I'm terrified to have this conversation and to make this video because I feel like my credit as a vegan is going to be taken away from me. But I just have to wonder how many of these seemingly perfect vegans are falling short of 100%. And they're just too afraid to have this conversation, you know? I think this conversation is so important. And so I'm the one who's gonna say it, even though it's gonna get me in trouble. PETA's probably gonna call me up and be like, Kalel, what the fuck? So I know you guys are probably wondering, what are these few things that I just can't, you know, replace? Like, what is keeping me from being 100% vegan? Now, at first, honestly, I didn't want to admit up to this because I feel like no matter what I say I'm holding on to, you guys will find a way to be like, that's what it is. You can easily replace it with this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Believe me, I know. And this really doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, but I'm just not ready. I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm holding on to these things, and similar to how I was with the bags and the shoes, part of me just can't like give up this one indulgence, and it's like really, really hard for me. I will say, I'm definitely not consuming any meat. I have had no meat in over 5 years. That is not a thing. But I will admit to some of the things. So one of my things is a razor, a specific razor that I really like, my perfume, one makeup item, movie theater popcorn, and the very, very, very occasional candy bar. Doesn't feel good to admit this because, like I said before, I feel it's discrediting me as a true animal lover. Like, how can I feel okay getting popcorn when I know that, like, I have the visual in my head of a baby calf being ripped away from its mom so that we can pump the milk out of her? You know, I'm educated on all these topics. When you're not educated on the topics and you don't understand the harm you're causing, it's really easy to do those things and not really think twice about it. But I know better. So why am I still doing this? Like, can't I bring my own popcorn to the movie? Can't I replace my makeup items? Can't I find a different brand of razor that works just as well? And I really wish I had a better response to this, because even to me, this does not make sense on paper. It really, really, really doesn't. But sometimes I just feel so sick of caring about every tiny thing I do. And so I feel like I'm holding on to these like few things that I just don't really care about, because I'm just so sick of structuring my entire life, checking every label, Googling every uncertainty, asking the server to go in the back and pull out this big binder that has every single ingredient of everything. You know, it just, after a certain point, it just becomes exhausting. And yeah, there are times when I'm checking out at Target and I see a candy bar that I had as a child, and I miss it, and I just grab it and I eat it. And yeah, it has like a half teaspoon of milk in it. Actually, side note, I'm more concerned about the palm oil in those candy bars than I am the milk. I think that's causing more destruction. But you know, the point is, I don't know. Even though I have a really heavy conscience, it's just still somehow there's like this little loophole in my brain that is telling me that it's okay to have these few tiny things. I don't know, I just feel like an absolutely terrible person for even saying these things in this video. It's the weirdest feeling. I'm very, very, very scared of judgment on this one, but I don't know. I think it's just similar to how I felt with the bags and the shoes. You know, it's just part of my process. I'm just not ready for 100%, and one day I will be ready for 100%, and then I'll never look back. And you know, another really big frustration of mine is shoes. It is so hard to find high quality vegan shoes, guys. I have been looking high and low for 5 years for good vegan shoes, and I found very few pair. And one thing that has happened to me a lot, literally 8 times, I'm not exaggerating, is I will research, finally find a pair that says, "Oh, man-made materials." Yes, I'm so excited. I finally found it. After an hour of research, I finally found the perfect vegan shoe. Order it. It gets here. I check the bottom, which you should always learn how to read those labels of what different parts of the shoe is made out of. Part of it's leather. So I'm like, really? It said all man-made materials. All man-made materials. And then I realize it's not. So I have to send it back. I've done that 8 times. Just happened to me for the 9th time the other day. And I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of this. I had been looking for just a basic black boot for literally ever. Finally found it. I was so excited. It said all man-made materials. Why can't I say that? All man-made materials. I get it, and the bottom of the boot, like literally, like, you know, like the little like traction pad, like this big, a little thing on the bottom of the boot, is bonded leather. I'm like, why? Why is this so hard? So in situations like that, again, I mean, all of my shoes are vegan besides that one pair of boots. I will say that. But you just reach a point where you're like, you know what? I've had enough. Fuck it. I'm gonna keep the boot. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. And it's like, also another thing is making mistakes. Vegans need to be allowed to make mistakes. I know for me, I made a big mistake on camera that I didn't realize until after I had posted the video. I was shopping for a fancy gown for a formal wedding, and I had looked all day. I finally found one that I really liked, and some of you guys might remember this video. And I checked to see what it was made out of, and there was no tag. I swear on literally Buki's life, there was no tag. I don't even know how that's legal, but there was no tag disclosing what type of fabric it was or what the breakdown of the fabric was. There was no tag. And it was the end of the day. I had looked such a long time. I had found nothing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get this. It feels like polyester blend or something, you know? I didn't think it was silk. So a week later, I'm already in Morocco, I'm at the wedding, I'm wearing the gown, and I'm reading comments, and somebody had found the dress, the exact same dress, online and showed that it was silk. Everybody called me out, freaked out, "You're not a real vegan, you bought a silk dress." And I'm just sitting here like, do you really think if I knew that dress was silk, I would have made a whole video about me shopping for it and buying it and showing it? Like, that doesn't even make sense. It was an honest mistake. And we need to allow people who are trying to be vegan to have honest mistakes without, like, throwing it in their face. You can politely tell someone, "Oh, hey, by the way, that's, you know, not vegan. I just wanted to let you know." Which also brings me to another thing. And this was not on my list of, like, I don't even know how many things that list was, like 12 things, 12 rules of being vegan. You also really can't associate yourself with any companies that sell anything from an animal. Like, I did a campaign with Daniel Wellington for their little like metal cuff bracelets, and everybody called me out like, "Oh, you're supporting a company that sells leather." And I'm just like, that's not my philosophy on being vegan. I don't avoid companies that also profit from animal products. Like, for instance, Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's has launched like 10 non-dairy flavors. And yes, I promote those products because I'm excited to see that shift in the market. Now, does Ben & Jerry's profit heavily from the abuse of dairy cows? Yes. Does that feel good? No. But I understand the importance of causing that shift in supply and demand, and I can see a future where Ben & Jerry's is nothing but non-dairy ice cream. I fully believe that that will happen. But will it happen if everyone in the vegan movement is boycotting them? No. Now, I know what you're thinking. Daniel Wellington probably won't become a fully vegan watch and jewelry company. But you know what? You never know. It's all about the law of supply and demand. So I don't boycott anyone. I mean, maybe if it's a heavy designer that does like fur and stuff, then yeah, I'm out. But if it's just kind of more basic things like dairy or like grocery, like Whole Foods, profits from meat and dairy, then that I feel is okay for me according to my own moral code. Everybody has their own, and that's fine. So you see, what's frustrating is that if you fall short in any of these areas, suddenly the vegan police want to take away your vegan card, and I just don't feel that's right. Maybe I'm in the wrong here. Maybe since I'm only 98% vegan, I should have my vegan card taken away. Like, how do you guys feel about this? What do you think? I would love to know, if you are vegan, what percentage of vegan do you honestly think you are? I would really, really appreciate other vegans coming clean about their few things that they might cheat with or whatever. I think this would be really, really good for the movement. So if you guys can own up to that, or maybe tell me that I am the only one, that would be really bad, but I have a feeling I am not the only one. So I really think we need to get this conversation started because I don't know. I think if people want to take away my vegan card, like, I do so much, I feel, I'm promoting this lifestyle in a positive way to millions of people. I've done several awareness campaigns with PETA. I just feel like I'm really doing the best that I can. I'm like coming for designers on Twitter. Like, I'm really trying to progress the movement as much as I can, but no, I'm not perfect. I just think vegans have made this lifestyle look so fucking restrictive that nobody even wants to take the first step. People are literally terrified to even call themselves vegan because they think they're going to be attacked for not following rule number 16 properly. It is so detrimental to the movement for us to have this like militant view on how things should be. If somebody wants to be 10% vegan, we should be, all right, let's do it. You're doing such a good job. That's amazing that you're making those changes. If somebody is plant-based and wants to call themselves vegan, who gives a shit? Who cares? Why are we on our high horses about these labels? It's all about making better changes for the animals. So let them say whatever the fuck they want to say. We need to embrace people changing on any and every level, guys. I just feel like a lot of vegans aren't seeing the big picture here and how detrimental it is that we're pushing people away from this movement. Because if even 10% of the world somehow magically turned vegan overnight, that would change everything. Literally 10% of the market turning to vegan products would send every company into a frenzy to come up with some kind of vegan product. That would make a major, major, major shift in the supply and demand, and everything would snowball from there on out. It would be the best thing that has ever happened to this planet and to the animals. So my real point of this video is, yes, I want to be fully transparent and admit that I'm not a perfect vegan. But even more important than that, I want to fight the stereotype that you have to follow all of these rules perfectly in order to call yourself a vegan. You really don't, and this is a conversation that we need to become more tolerant of. It needs to be okay. I think people need to not feel guilty for admitting that there are 5 things in their life that they're still holding on to that aren't 100% cruelty-free. It has been a long journey to make your life perfect. It takes time, and I really strongly believe in the philosophy of going through it in phases, and I think that is how you create the longest lasting change for yourself. And I don't know, I just want as many people to try going vegan as possible, and I think that this is really the best angle to take and how we should be talking about it. I don't know, I feel like I really rambled a lot in this video and I didn't have very good notes, so I was just kind of like all over the place, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. And I hope you don't hate me because I still have a razor and a certain makeup item, and I don't want to promote any of those things. I don't want to say what they are because I don't want to give them any more attention. And I am trying to find replacements for them. It's just I haven't really felt like I found the ones that I really want. I don't know, it sounds so stupid again. I don't know. I don't know why. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. And please, 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 if you're vegan, it would make my entire life if you would start having these conversations with other vegans. I think this is so important for the movement. We gotta break through this 100% perfect shit. I know we can do it. It's gonna be great. Okay, bye.